Hello, hello. Welcome to this wonderful episode of the Inflection Podcast. Exciting to have Sarah Hart here with us today. Sarah is the founder and the chief brand designer over at Hart Co. Company she founded over 14 years ago. Company focuses on, or the agency focuses on helping brands build naturally and visually distinctive branding and beautiful websites to help them outgrow their competition. Thank you so much, Sarah, for hopping on board.
Yes, I'm so excited to be on the podcast. I'm a fan of it, so I'm honored to be here.
Thank you. I wanted to dive into building an agency, staying in the game for 14 years and counting. That is no small feat. I'm curious for you, what was that journey like to starting the agency and screwing over the years?
Yeah, and I think it all started when in art school I was freelancing and taking projects like wherever I could. So it basically started off as a freelance gig as I worked as a designer for other agencies. So I always
And
had my own thing going. And then dabbled one of my other businesses was doing plantable cards at the farmers market. So I had as a designer,
no
I had so
way.
much fun. Yeah, designing cards and doing the farmers market for a year, and then that totally flopped. I made absolutely no money on that. And
But
then
lots
from
of
there
learning.
yeah. And yeah, from there, just I worked at different agencies, but I always did my own stuff as well. And then eventually I started to bring on more people, which I think a lot of people are scared to do, but it's really so nice to have help after you've been working for yourself for so long. As wow, I
Yeah.
actually have someone's help. So I started to bring on more of my own team, and it's just been, it's just nice. Honestly, it's just nice to have
Yeah.
people to help you with your
Oh my
clients.
God.
Yeah.
The cool thing with agencies is it's relatively easy to get started an agency. It's really hard, right? To grow it, to scale it. At first, because this was my experience, essentially like a glorified freelancer. You're an agency, but you're the one behind the curtains doing everything. And then at some point, you just got to bring other people in to help you keep scaling because you're not scalable. We were just talking about that, not being scalable
Yeah.
and needing others on board. What did it look like at first, bringing other team members on? Did you hire per project at time of need, or did you preempt that, build like a bench, so to speak, of folks?
Yeah, it's actually so funny. I had a client who was just like such a amazing client, Dan, and he really just pushed me. He's, you need more people. We need more of you. I had a wonderful client who was like, "No, you just do it." I'm like, I guess I can't really argue with a client trying to get me to grow my own business. So
Yeah.
I'm so grateful to him because he really gave me that push. I really wouldn't have done it, honestly. I was like, "Oh, managing people, that sounds awful." But I hired my first junior designer and it was just such a good experience. I was like, "I don't have to do everything. This is so nice." And so after that, soon after that, I got pregnant and was like, "Oh, okay. Now, like, I gotta go. I'm not gonna be here at all." So I brought on more or feeling so stressed because I was bringing on more people and they're gonna have to take over my whole business while I'm not here. How is this gonna work out? And honestly, it just all fell into place. I hired
Wow.
amazing women who just honestly, Alex and Sakura, they just did everything while I was on maternity leave and completely did an amazing job. And I'm just so grateful to that. I was like, what if I don't need to be here? People are great. And I think a big part of it too is like trusting that people know what they're doing and not micromanaging managing them is very important.
That's that is so key. And with one of my guests, we talked about trust and the subtle difference between. So you can move forward with trust first. When you trust the folks you work with or who work for you, you trust, and then you like prove me right. Versus you don't trust, you micromanage, and they're always trying to prove you wrong.
Mm,
That is the annoying place to be, and I've been there before. And very subtle change, but when you trust the folks who work for you, hey, trust you get it done. I don't have to micromanage the heck out of your life. To feel that as well. Very interesting.
yeah.
Use the word trust.
I know. I feel like It's like our society too. We're put into school with our frameworks and you always have someone that you're reporting to. And I hate that. I just think it's especially like we're all adults. You know how to do a job. Nobody needs to be babysat. Fact. It's such a weird. I feel like we're living in a weird system, and it's time to just break it because
Yeah.
it's breeding like micromanagers and like people with control issues. I think it's weird. It's so weird.
Yep. So your company is based in Canada. At what point, I would think at first you're very local to Canada, Nova Scotia. Like when did you start scaling and doing projects with clients around the world? And was that a scary thing for you?
So even before I had my agency, I had a design teaching business. So I built my personal
Wow.
yeah,
Look
like
at you.
back in 2013, I started like a blog, 2012, and just started teaching about branding, teaching about web design. And so I started to get clients. I remember some of my first clients were like from New Zealand, and I was like, "Whoa, this is so cool, New Zealand." So I did start to I was used to working with clients, from that was really such a cool experience, and then when I did build out my own agency, I get a lot of people from everywhere, so it's so nice.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is cool. Man, when I started Icon Labs in 2019, compared to your 14 and counting years of Hart Co, Icon feels like such a baby. When I started, that was one of the coolest things, or one of the coolest things that happens when clients from Canada and UK and other places started reaching out. I was like, oh my gosh, this is cool. We're international. It was exciting
Such a
for
big
me.
moment. I do wanna say, like, I would say I more freelanced until maybe probably not till probably was 2020 when I went from freelancer to agency, so it wasn't 14
I
years of, like, pure agency.
rocking it as an agency. Now I see that evolution in many agencies as I look at the natural evolution, right? It's freelancing, and then you form a business around that, and then you start hiring folks and you keep scaling. You iterate on that a couple of times, you get kicked in the teeth a couple of times,
Yeah.
but you learn a lot through that experience. One of the things you were chatting about earlier too was building SOPs, procedures, and things like that. How has that played out with your agency as you've worked on scaling and bringing other people in and essentially like duplicating what you already know all in your head, right? When you're a freelancer, that was fine. You were the one doing everything. But
Mhm.
what does that look like for you to translate knowledge to others on your team?
Yeah, currently in progress, honestly. Like, I want your advice,
It's
I know
always
we were
over.
talking about this earlier, and that's a work in progress right now is I think I'm at the point where I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I really need to start getting organized." I think when I was pregnant on maternity leave, it was, like, the last thing I could handle was that, so now I feel like
Yeah.
I'm at the stage where I'm like, "Yes, I know, I get it, I know what my value is, I know my procedures, but they need to get out there." So, yeah, I'm working on it. What's your advice?
Oh man, there's so many ways. I'd say don't overcomplicate it. When we think SOPs, all the operating procedures and standards for a business, it sounds so formal. Oh wow, some formal document. But I mean, honestly, putting stuff in a Google Doc or whatever it is you use for writing. For this is how we talk to clients. These
Mhm,
are the channels we use for communication. This is how we name things. A quick audit to look at the tools you have
mhm.
as well, because it's like so easy to have tool creep. You start off, you pay for Calendly and then you pay for cow.com. And then it's, wait, we have like three different calendar scheduling tools. How did that happen? So it's fun to do those audits and then compile them so that new members of the team join. Here are the tools we use
Mhm.
ongoing, because that list is going to flex up and down depending on how things are going. But that's a really great way to start. Just creating a list of the different systems you have, how you engage. And then that document, for me, a document like that is a living document. It's essentially going to keep growing forever. You can set a steady cadence to update it once a week, once a month, whatever cadence works. So yeah, that'd be my advice. Don't overcomplicate it. Start with whatever tool you have. Now there are tools out there that'll help you do that, but a, a Google Doc or spreadsheet is a great place to start and just start, putting things together.
Yeah, that's good advice. Like not to overcomplicate it, just get the basics. Yeah.
Yeah. Can always complicate later. Simpler is better. As you look back at so going freelancer to, all right, I gotta solidify this as a business and keep growing. Are there some pitfalls? It's a fun one. You would, caution others against, or maybe things you would do differently, or one thing you would do differently, perhaps
Going
through
from
that process.
going from freelancer to hiring.
Yeah, to hiring or freelancer to agency to a
Mhm.
more established agency business.
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like I'm so lucky. Like I feel like honestly, I was so surprised it's gone so smoothly. If I
Yeah,
didn't expect
that's amazing.
it to go so well. Well, nothing is coming up, but I'm just trying to let me think for a second. Let me know. Do you have pitfalls for me to use as a starting point?
Yeah, one of the things for me when I went freelancer to agency, I would say I waited too long.
Uh,
Control. So
yeah.
we talked about control earlier, right? And it was the control thing of I know how to do it. I have the relationships, and it was hard for me to let go of that till I started burning out. And I had an oh shoot moment. I need to bring other people in.
Mhm.
So for me, that's one thing. The control, trying to do it all.
Mhm.
I should have, probably should have, would have brought people in a lot sooner
Mm.
than I did. So that's a big one for me. And
Yeah.
even the SOPs thing, the procedures, like things stayed in my head and then people ask and I send it to them, or we have it different places on Slack. So putting together a master document that documented every aspect of the business is something I should have done then, and I would just keep building. Um, Better late than never, right? But it's another big one.
Yeah, yeah, I'm totally with you, like, I feel like once I took a step back, once you, like, take the time and once I was forced out of my business because I was taking care of a newborn, it was like, "Oh, wait, what have I been doing?" Like, I was so in it that
Yeah,
I could not see the vision of where I wanna take my business because you're, like, in the day-to-day of, like, putting out fires and responding on Slack to all these requests. So it's yeah, yeah, absolutely. You just it's so scary. And I remember feeling like, "Oh man, my clients are gonna fire me if once they find out I'm not gonna be the number one contact." And they're like, "Oh, sure, congratulations. Yeah, no problem." And it's oh, it's almost like an
my
ego.
gosh.
You're like your
Yeah.
ego gets hurt because you're like, "Wait, I thought I was like
I thought you'd miss me
irreplaceable."
more. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's such good, like, almost, like, personal work. It's, like, a personal growth moment of doing that, and I think anyone should try it just to see how they start to see their business.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
What do you have so your LinkedIn game is fire. Now I haven't looked at your other social media accounts, but you do LinkedIn
Girl,
really well. If
girl.
you're okay, focus on LinkedIn. And one of the challenge when I talk to business owners, agency owners, a big thing, man, how can I run my business into that one? Also do LinkedIn. Some go the route of hiring someone, which is fine, just hire someone to run that. But for those who don't want to build that into their routine, do you have any tips of advice? Like how do you do it so well with your carousels and listicles and all that fun stuff?
That's so nice. Thank
Of
you.
course.
I honestly just have so much fun. Like, I feel like I'm in the time of my life where I am a lot of my thinking from all this years of doing the work, I feel like it's all coming together and I'm having so much fun, like, bringing it all together. And talking about it and, like, clarifying my own thinking and researching and reading and, like, growing what I feel like is my body of work, what's my, like what I'm being known for, my thing.
Yeah,
So I feel like there is, like, this some fire right now that's no like, I'm having
let's
fun and
go.
my number one priority, like, we met through Caitlin and Neil's Unignorable.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I took that course, I was, like, dusty, man. Like, my brain was like cobwebs. Like, I didn't even know what I was doing business-wise. So, took that course, and I even said no to clients for 3 months. Like, I didn't take any it was client work because I wanted to focus on, like, creating my body of work, creating my, like, thinking. So, that was really important for me. I think giving and I've noticed a theme and always in my life, whenever I give myself space to just do it and say no to client work, take a little bit of a financial hit, it always works out. It always works out.
That's really cool. It's amazing. It it paid off. It paid off at the time because I look at the content and your thought leadership, and yeah, it's really good.
The
Good stuff.
leads I'm getting now too are, like, so high quality. My new, clients that I'm getting are just so great. Yeah, this really works, doesn't it? So it's
Yeah.
100% worth it.
Oh my gosh. And that's a perfect segue into what piece of advice you'd have for others who might be on the precipice and thinking about, okay, I want to start an agency or I'm freelancing already. What does it look like to make that leap? So what would you say to such a person?
Yeah, I feel like it's not the big as big of a leap as you think. Like, for me, it just looked like hiring help, like bringing on contractors and then it just grows. It grew from there, right? So I feel agency is like a big word for a group, a bunch of people who are helping each other out and doing good work, right? So
Yeah,
I don't know if it needs to be, yeah, but I don't know if it's for everybody. I don't think everybody likes
true.
to be managing or I
Yeah.
don't know if it is for
Uh,
everybody, but it's worth a try. How are you supposed to know? I would have thought that I would have hated it. I reluctantly did it. I didn't want to.
yeah.
And I was like, "Wow, this is actually okay. Yeah, okay. I like
Yeah.
this." So you gotta try.
In my agency course, I one of the things I have there is your why. For you can't just go into the agency business saying, "Oh, yay, I'm gonna make a ton of money." Like that might work out, but for me, you need a stronger internal motor, like an internal drive for your why. And then also, it is good to actually audit your skill set and what you really want out of life. Because
Yeah.
the agency business can be a meat grinder and will spit you out. So it's useful to go through that exercise. And like you said, it's not for everybody. And that's not a crime.
Yeah.
It's good to be aware of that.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm not good at doing, like, the big team meetings and the visions and the big company goal. Like, I'm it's more autonomous sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, like, you can do it your own way too, I think. If you find people
Yeah.
who wanna be autonomous and wanna manage themselves, like, that's you can find that too, or if you want
Absolutely.
something more like a collaborative team, you can build that. So, I think, yeah, you can just figure it out. But
Yeah.
what's your team?
What's my team structure like?
Yeah.
For me, I hire like, when I started, I was hiring a lot of junior folks. And then as we scaled, I started bringing in more mid to senior because that way we could be a lot more truly autonomous. Like I can be hands off because I know they're going to kill it every time, work on a project. So I have designers, and everyone is a contractor, designers, UX researchers, developers. We focus on Webflow, the CMS. So our Webflow partner, we just handle projects like that for small, mid, and soon here enterprise companies. And yes, I just focus obsessively on hiring really great people that I can just say, hey, go for it and not have to go into the little details of projects. And that has worked really well. This is me
Nice.
trying to do everything.
Good job. That's hard to
Scaling
do.
well.
Good, like, so
Thank you.
you're
Yeah.
hiring well. That's awesome.
It's been hard, and having head of operations has been helpful as well to just run things.
So cool.
But thank you so much, Sarah, for jumping on board. For those who want to engage with you, we'll add your links in the show notes for them to engage, your socials, your website, and all of that fun stuff.
Sounds awesome. Great.